Hey guys, welcome back to Lofi-Ledger, where I give you the market breakdown from the perspective of a data scientist. Today, we're going to talk about the recent move that Bitcoin had going up and what I think the market is going to do from here on out. So, if you look at the past few days, actually, Bitcoin has gone up quite considerably. If you check the charts, Bitcoin it's up like, well, at least from the local lows, it's up around 15%. And sometimes this makes people feel like, oh, the bottom is already in. I'm gonna miss the boat. Let's pile in. Let's put on more money. Buy the dip. It's already over. And certainly, these are thoughts that I've had. Also, in the past few cycles, where it feels like minor moves up already corresponds to the bottom being in. But if you look at it, instead of being driven emotionally, it's actually much better for us to look at prior examples of how Bitcoin had moved in the past. Specifically, if we can find um, like certain market structures, then we can figure out if this move is actually it, right? So this is TradingView. It's a free website where you can just like look at different charts. Um, So we don't really have previous points of comparison, so we just compare it to the previous cycles and see if we can see a trend from there, right? So, well, there's only two other cycles in this view, so let's look on average how long it took for the top to reach the bottom, right? So that'll give us like an idea of what is happening in the market and when can we expect the bottom to be in, and also we should also look at the magnitude of the drops, right? And everyone keeps saying that, you know, what if it's different this time? But if you just say that as a shorthand to not do analysis, then you have no real basis to call that data driven decision, right? You really want your decisions to be based on some kind of metric or data. So those are two things we're gonna look at first. Like first, how long does it usually take for it to reach a bottom, so we can get an idea where maybe this is it, right? And second, we'll look at the magnitudes of the drops that have happened in the past and just see if, this current drop really does seem to be it. So, firstly, we looked at them for this previous cycle, 2 cycles ago, and we checked that from the top, it um, took around, let's say, 52 bars, or maybe early. Well, actually, this is, yeah, 52 bars for it to go down, and we're on like the weekly view, so each bar is a week. So it took almost 364 days or 52 bars, right? Yeah, almost a year. And the seconds in the cycle before this one, if we just look at the top here, it took almost exactly the same amount of bars, right? So it took around 52 bars or almost a year as well. This cycle, if we just copy this 52 bars, if this cycle is done, um, we're only at like this. We're not there yet, right? So if this plays out like all the other cycles, I mean, there's no reason to think that if the past 2 cycles, which all had different macro conditions, right, had the same behavior, there's no reason to think that this cycle would be different. Um, yeah, it would still take 52 bars, but right now we're only at around 25 bars, right? So we're like simply halfway there based on this kind of like data comparing it from previous cycles. So yeah, like the bottom should be around maybe October or early November, if we're following the same typical structure that occurred in previous cycles. Um, in terms of magnitude, Um, look at the price range from the top, like to this bottom. This was around an 80, like 82% drop, or 80, yeah, like around 82% drop. If we copy that to the next cycle, right, it didn't reach that low. So this was around a 73% drop, right? Um, so 82, 73, we just do the math on that. How much is that? So, right, 82 minus 73, that's like a 9% change. So if we subtract 9% from 73, that's around 64% drop. So if this was going from the same pattern, a 64% drop would put us at around, so it's 64. So 64% drop from the top would put us around $46,000, right? So if we draw this, it'll put us around $44,000. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think that the bottom is already in. And I would put off YOLOing all your money into Bitcoin right now, since it seems like it will drop a bit more. Granted, if you're in it for the long haul, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you want to maximize your potential local gains, I wouldn't say that this is really the time to scale in, simply because based on the time frame, it's not there yet, and also based on the percentage moves that have happened. Secondly, if you look at my website, you can also get an idea of like the average drops that would have happened in the past. So if you look at the days to cross, so this data shows how many days on average a certain up or down movement does happen. So let's say we are expecting this 60% drop from top to bottom for uh, for Bitcoin, right? And we can see that if the top was really this date, where's that, 125? Yeah, so if the top was really at July 25, and we're looking at we're expecting around a 64% drop, we can go here and go to down and check 64%. So we're looking at a 60% drop. So if you look at this graph, how this works is basically, this is the price of Bitcoin. These yellow streaks are all of the data points that have had a 60% drop. So what it does now is you can average it. Oops. And obviously the empty parts are no 60% drop, because when Bitcoin was down here at 200, there was no number of days that caused it to have a 60% drop. So how you read this as is, from this point in time, from February 15, 2021, it took 488 days for that data point. So if you go with 488 days, that's how many days it took for it to get at least a 60% drop, right? So now you can actually calculate the average number of days and the standard deviation that it takes for 60% drops to occur, right? So on average, this is around 282 days on average where 60% drops happen, and the standard deviation is 100 days. So that's like it's like 282 days plus 100 days, right? So that's kind of in line with what we were seeing, right? This bar, the October bar that we were saying, That's around 364 days, which is just 20 days off the mean plus one standard deviation. So that's where I think that the bottom will be. I think it will be around October ish, late October, early November. Um, kind of time frame. Yeah, so what we do here is basically we get the date. So we get the this date, the top date, which was at around let's I don't know when was the top. Let's say it was October 6, 2025. We put it here at dated. We have the reference date at October 6, 2020. Oops, wait. What was it? October 6, 2025. So we go October 6, 2025, October 6, and then the 60% drop on average 282 days. That'll give us at around July. On average, we'll see the drop around July, and on latest, we'll see within one standard deviation, so like a 65% confidence interval. This is gonna be at around October 23. So here this says October 23, right? 100. Yeah, October 23. This is also saying around October. So that's where I think the bottom is gonna happen. Yeah, and also the reason people are gonna say, "Oh, what about the super cycle? What if it is a super cycle and this is just one of the dips on our way towards all-time highs, and this isn't like the previous cycles, right?" Um, I don't really think that we're there anymore. If we look at the graph of Bitcoin, every time it got all these major drops, it already corresponded to a new cycle. So, for example, if we go again to the 60% drops, you can see that once it had the 60% drop, the cycle's pretty much over, right? The next it took it around, you know, how many days is it? 860 days for the next 60% drop to occur, right? So for example, here there's 60% drop. It took around 700 days for the next 60% drop to occur. And then so now we haven't had a 60% drop in a really long time. So if we just project 60 like that same 700 days, how much days was that? Yeah, so this one's 800 days. The previous cycle was around 740 days. So if we just have like 750 days, right? Right? So, well, this is 900 days to the next stop, but I mean, these 60% drops did start not at the top, right? This one started here, which is pretty close to the top. This one started a bit earlier, right? So, if we just did 750 days, which was like the average of the two, is that seven? No, this 800. Um, yeah, so so basically we'll find the next 60% drop from this point, and you can see that there's gonna be like this span most likely where you're gonna see the lines start to appear once that first 60% drop does happen. So that's where my head is at. I feel like this move is a nothing burger. um Bear markets are hard because, and in general, it's hard because most of the time these moves happen really fast. Um, so, for example, one of the reasons why this is pretty hard to navigate is because it these these moves actually take really long, and for a lot of the time, you're really not doing anything, or even slightly going up, right? So, for example, this entire move from um, this sideways movement took 10 bars, right? But if you see um, the actual drop is just like a few days. So most of the time crypto is gonna make you wait, wondering what is happening. Um, yeah, so right, so like it's like 2 or 3 bars only, these moves, and then majority of the time it's really not doing anything. So keep that keeps you on your toes. But if you look at the data, it really does suggest that a larger correction will probably still happen. So not financial advice, but I do think there's still gonna be another drop. If the current drop that we had was significant already, so a we already had a 51% drop. Dropping to the 64% drop is gonna take 64. So that's gonna be like um so from this current price that we're in, that's gonna be another, yeah, that's gonna be another like 32% drop. How much is this? Yeah, it's gonna be like another 40% drop. Right? So um if you do all in here, you might be in for a surprise that it might still go down. Yeah. So if I wasn't gonna trade this market, I probably wouldn't put money into Bitcoin yet, simply because I am still expecting that big drop. But however, that's only if you're really trying to be greedy and maximize your returns. If you look at the time frame, um, this is sort of a good time frame to buy if you're looking at expected gains. So right now, if you're waiting for another entire year, you're probably gonna be up. So, like, um, so for example, what I mean by that is a year from now, um, if you look at the date range, um, probably greater than a year from now. Um, so a year from now would be like, um, yeah, a year from now would be like this 52 bars. And from the high, relative to the high, we're already at 25 bars, right? We're like 25 bars away from the high. 26 bars, something like that, right? So if we just do the same thing, right, from the previous all-time high, you look at 25 bars from the previous all-time high, and then you just add this this value to it, right? Right. So I mean, if you look at it, this was at around $32,000, and a year from that point, you were only slightly down at like $29,000. So I mean, and then in the previous one, it was probably up, right? This part was a bit higher than probably that period. So I mean, if you're investing for more than a year, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, but still gonna suck, right? It's still gonna suck to see your investment go down 40%, and even in a year time frame, even though you're gonna be slightly up, um, you might not even be that up, or you might be slightly down. So how I'm trading the market currently is I'm probably still gonna wait, since in terms of the duration of time, it doesn't seem like we're gonna be going to new all-time highs anytime soon. Yeah, so I just wanted to give that quick recap of what is happening this week, because sometimes it does feel hard to see Bitcoin slowly inch up higher and higher, but just make sure that you're looking at the previous data and what is that telling us. So right now, it doesn't seem like, from a time-based perspective, that it is already the bottom. And also from a price perspective, like the drawdowns right now, it does seem like we're in for more drawdowns in the near term future. So that's all I want to talk about. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.